want to be Spirit-led in that moment. Paul talks to the church. He told the church in Corinth that he. How do you know when you're Spirit-led? Well, I can tell you, it's pretty easy to know when you're not.
Okay.
Right? You'll feel that. You'll feel sin a lot more clearly than anything. You'll know when you're not doing something you should. You ever had that feeling like, I should have talked to that person? I should have talked to that person.
The other thing, when they reject you.
Or, you've had moments maybe where you think, gosh, I probably made that into an argument. That probably didn't go well. I probably shouldn't have pushed so hard. So you learn from that. The beauty of God's sovereignty is you're not keeping anyone out of hell and you're not getting anyone into heaven. You're participating with God in the process of doing that wherever he's doing it, but you're not changing the outcomes, which is a confidence building. It's not meant to discourage you, quite the opposite. If I thought I could mess this up, I'd be a lot less inclined to get involved. But when I know I can't mess it up, then it's just about being a willing participant. But still, we might mess it up. That is, in a given moment. And what we learn from that is something we take to the next moment, and we're growing in the process, and that's how we're getting benefit out of being involved. But I'd listen to the Spirit in the moment. Ask yourself, what do I say next? What do I do? And Paul talked to the church in Corinth about, I beg you on behalf of Christ, be reconciled. He was saying, I'm not taking this lightly. I want you to believe this. But at the same time, Paul was the one who taught us about the sovereignty of God, perhaps better than anyone else in Scripture. So any other author of Scripture. So he gets the fact that it's God in control, and I'm working my tail off to make it possible for you to believe. Those are not against one another. I've had people tell me that they heard one comment in passing and it made them, they came to faith out of that. And then I've had other people tell me that their spouse, argued with them for decades until they came to faith. What does that prove to you? It's God's sovereignty. It's not about methodology. It's about God's sovereignty. But if you're the woman who has, or the husband that has the 10 or 20 year effort with the spouse, do you give up because it didn't happen in the first conversation? No. And the fact that someone else comes to faith with one word, does that mean, from now on, that's the only word you have to use? No. You can't turn God's sovereignty into a method. You can't distill down the omnipotent, omniscient God of the universe into a 5-step process. You have to be fluidly moving with him. And that will mean a different experience at different moments with different people. The people who participate in that successfully are the ones who have their ears and eyes open, who are just open to what's going on around them. The ones who don't participate in that process are the ones who think of it as a 5-step process that you turn on or off, and they're not interested in having it on all the time. They go on a mission trip, they turn it on, right? But then they go to their grocery store on their normal Thursday afternoon run, and they're not looking for somebody to know about Jesus. So they're not talking to anybody, they're not meeting anyone, they're not saying anything, they're not acting even Christian, because who cares, it's off duty. That's someone who doesn't understand God's sovereignty and really doesn't, let's say it this way, that's someone who's not thinking enough about God's sovereignty and about their opportunity to participate in the work of God at every moment, right? Every moment of your life is supposed to be gospel-oriented, which isn't to say you're always with a Bible throwing it at people's face everywhere you go. It's more subtle than that. It's just about living with an intentionality that recognizes why you're alive. And you'll figure it out in time. You get better at it in time.